Welcome to the GBNews YouTube channel. I'm Emily Carver. Could Sir Keir Starmer be the most unpopular Prime Minister we've ever had? He's now more unpopular after his first 5 months in Downing Street than any other Prime Minister since the late 70s. So, did you see this one coming? The man who swept into power with his big promises of change, his promise for a fresh start, his promise of stability and escape from the chaos of the Tories. That's what he said, so what's gone wrong? Well, let's start with the numbers because they are stark. According to a recent Ipsos poll, a staggering 61% of voters are now dissatisfied with Starmer's performance. Only 27% are satisfied. Amazed it's that high. That gives him a net satisfaction score of -34. So what does that actually mean? Well, it's the worst score recorded for a Prime Minister after 5 months in office in Ipsos's polling history, a polling history that dates back to the era of Margaret Thatcher. Now, you might be thinking, surely other Prime Ministers have gotten off to a rough start? Well, let's compare, shall we? Gordon Brown, who took over during the onset of the financial crisis, had a net satisfaction score of -23 after 5 months. Rishi Sunak, dealing with the aftermath of Liz Truss's chaotic mini-budget, he scored -22. Starmer's -34 makes those look like ringing endorsements. So what's gone wrong for the man who promised to be a steady hand at the helm after years of Conservative turmoil? Well, let's break it down, shall we? First, there's the freebies scandal. Keir Starmer, who campaigned on a platform of integrity, transparency, well, he found himself embroiled in controversy over accepting high-value gifts, hospitality, freebies. We're talking Taylor Swift tickets. We're talking a corporate box at Arsenal Football Club. We're talking even designer glasses worth nearly £2,500. This for a man who promised to clean up politics. It rather smacks of hypocrisy. Then there's the budget. Starmer's government increased taxes by a whopping £40 billion. That's right, £40 billion. It will come out of the pockets of hard-working Brits at a time when they are struggling with the cost of living. This from a party that promised time and time again not to raise taxes on working people. But perhaps the most damaging move was the decision to scrap the winter fuel payment for 10 million pensioners. Where was freezing pensioners in the manifesto? Then you've got the betrayal of the WASPy women this week. Back in the day, Keir Starmer was all too happy to pose for photo ops, pledging fair and fast compensation for the WASPy women. So were most of his cabinet, for that matter. Yet more duplicity. And then, of course, there's just the growing sense that he's far happier jetting off to other countries around the world, meeting global leaders, pontificating about issues such as climate change, than he is comfortable about speaking to ordinary Brits and their ordinary concerns. Does he care? People are asking. So, does this government have a direction and a purpose other than not being the Tories? The Prime Minister who promised to make Britain better seems to be floundering. Things do seem to be getting worse. He's unable to articulate a vision for the country's future. And are people listening at this point? This lack of clarity is reflected in Labour's polling numbers. Of course it is. Recent analysis shows Labour's lead over the Conservatives has shrunk dramatically. They're now polling at just 26 points, a mere 1 point ahead of the Tories and only 4 points above Reform UK. Remember, this is a government that came to power with a landslide victory. This is a catastrophic decline. Starmer's defenders might argue that he's making the tough decisions for the long-term good of the country, but the public aren't buying it. There's a growing perception that Starmer says one thing, but does the exact opposite. He promised no tax rises, yet delivered a budget that hit people's pockets hard. He's talked about integrity in politics, then accepted lavish gifts from donors. This disconnect between words and actions is eroding trust in Starmer's leadership, and that's no one's fault but his own. It's not just the opposition criticising him now, is it? Murmurings of discontent are growing within his own party, whether it's the raid on family farms, whether it's winter fuel payments, whether it's the betrayal of WASPy women. People are angry, and they're angry in his own team. There are even reports of senior Labour figures like Angela Rayner and Wes Streeting joking now about taking his job. Could the knife come out for Keir? When your own team starts eyeing your position, you know you're in trouble. But let's be clear, this isn't just about Starmer's personal popularity. It's about the direction of the country. The Prime Minister's plummeting approval ratings reflect a deeper dissatisfaction with the government's performance on key issues, whether it's the economy, healthcare or immigration. The economy in particular is a major concern. Inflation is up again. This despite Starmer's promises to kickstart growth, it is down. The UK economy remains stagnant. It is shrinking. Inflation on the rise. Many Brits are feeling the pinch. Now, the Prime Minister himself has admitted that the government needs to go further to win over the public, but vague promises are not cutting it. On healthcare, the NHS waiting lists that Starmer vowed to tackle, they continue to grow. Patients are waiting longer than ever for treatment. There's little sign of the radical reform that many believe the health service desperately needs. What's happened to it? And then there's immigration. Well, Keir Starmer doesn't like talking about immigration, does he? But he did promise a tough and fair approach, yet the public perception is that little has changed since the Conservatives left office. In fact, it's gotten worse. The boats are still crossing the Channel in record numbers, and there's growing frustration with the lack of visible progress on this key issue, and it is a key issue. All of this paints a picture of a Prime Minister who's rapidly losing the confidence of the British people, the people who put him in the office. The honeymoon period is well and truly over, and Starmer is facing the harsh reality of governing in challenging times. Turns out it's actually harder to govern a country than it is to shout from the sidelines. But here's the thing. Politics, it's unpredictable. Starmer's current approval ratings are dire, but I guess there's still time for a turnaround. The question is, does he have the political skill and vision to make it happen? He himself seems aware of the big challenge. He said he'll be judged at the next election based on his achievements. Yes, he absolutely will. But with his popularity in freefall, his party lead evaporating, he may not have the luxury of waiting that long. The coming months will be crucial. Starmer needs to articulate a clear, compelling vision for Britain's future. He needs to stop talking about the Tories' years in chaos and actually make the change that he promised. He needs to deliver tangible results, economy, healthcare, immigration, everything else really. And perhaps most importantly, he needs to rebuild trust with the British people. If he can't do those things, we might well be looking at one of the shortest premierships in British history. The clock is ticking for Keir Starmer, and the British people are watching. Well, this is Emily Carver for GB News. We keep you informed on the stories that matter. Stay tuned for more updates on this developing political drama. And don't forget, while you're here, to subscribe to the GB News channel, give this video a like, and of course, leave a comment.
I used to have to use the razor that my ex-girlfriend used to shave her legs. It scratched me and it made me feel weird. But fear not, because Manscaped is back with a game changer. This isn't just any old shaver. We're talking about the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver with two interchangeable skin-safe blade heads. One for that baby smooth look and another when you want to keep it a bit rugged. Get this, it's waterproof. You can use it in the shower, by the pool, or even while scuba diving if that's your thing. This beauty runs for 75 minutes on a single charge. That's enough time to shave your face, your mate's face, and still have juice left over for touch-ups. You'll also get their Power Shave Gel for a proper wet shave experience, and a face shave soother to keep your mug looking fresh and irritation-free. It's like having a barber in your bathroom, minus the awkward small talk. Click the link in the description and use the code GBN for a whopping 20% off and free shipping with the code GBN at manscaped.com. Join the 11 million blokes worldwide who trust Manscaped. Your face will thank you, and so will your wallet.